Norse mythology is filled with amazing stories where creatures of the most diverse types appear. Some of these creatures live with humans in Midgard, the middle kingdom located in the center of the Yggdrasil cosmic tree. Others are scattered in other realms or even inhabit the spiritual realm, roaming between worlds and interacting with both gods and mortals. One of the most important beings for the creation of the world, according to the vision of the ancient Norse, was Audhumla. Audhumla was a primordial cow and one of the first living creatures along with the ice giant Ymir. Audhumla gave birth to Buri, the first of the gods, who in turn brought forth Bor, the father of the gods Odin, Vili, and Ve. Audhumla is often referred to as Mother Earth herself and a symbol of fertility and abundance. The Jotnar were the famous ice giants and were the first living beings to walk the earth. They emerged from the body of the primordial giant Ymir, and as soon as they arrived in the world, they already caused problems due to their major strength and never-ending appetite. The kingdom of the giants came to be called Jotunheim. Since the beginning of time, it waged war against the kingdom of men, and especially against the gods. The ice giants could cause great damage to human beings, as they were able to summon crushing blizzards and winds. Of low stature and brutish appearance, the dwarves stood out for their strength and courage. The dwarves lived in Nithavalir, a kingdom that lies underground in Midgard. The dwarves spend much of their lives digging tunnels and mining precious metals, but their true skill is in making objects of great beauty and power. Often, the gods sought the dwarves' help to produce high-quality jewelry or magic weapons, such as the famous Mjolnir hammer used by the god Thor. However, the dwarves were not known to be friendly. Most had an aggressive temperament. The dwarves had a reputation for being greedy and vindictive, which could make them cunning and dangerous. Elves are part of the most powerful beings of Norse mythology. They lived in the mystical kingdom of Alfheimr, but often appear in the world of humans, where they embody a spectral and luminous form. When they are in their spiritual form, the elves can go through walls and doors, and even influence people's dreams. There were also dark elves. These lived in the dark kingdom of Svartalheim and were antisocial beings. They preferred to be hidden in the shadows. Bad dreams and nightmares were attributed to them. Elves had a great knowledge of magic, and their lifespan was longer than that of human beings. Most of the time, the elves opted to inhabit magical places in the woods and forests, acting as guardians of nature. Elves had the power to cure many diseases, but if they were offended, they could cause terrible ailments against those who were disrespectful. But not all creatures were generous and willing to help other living beings, such as the greedy dragon Fafnir. Fafnir is a dragon who became famous in the legends of the hero Siegfried. Initially, Fafnir was an outstanding skilled dwarf in jewelry making, but after making a cursed ring, Fafnir became obsessed with the object and hid in a cave. There, he lived constantly out of sight. Over time, Fafnir's excessive greed drove him mad, and his body changed shape until he became an aggressive dragon. Fafnir felt the need to accumulate more and more treasures. No matter how great, wealth was never enough to fill his void. Fafnir found a tragic end when facing Siegfried. Not all the wealth in the world managed to bring joy to his life. The gods inhabited the kingdom of Asgard, which was above all others being ruled by the mighty Odin. Odin had under his command a pair of magic crows called Hugin and Munin. Hugin symbolized thought and the ability to learn new things. Munin, in turn, symbolized the memory and the importance of keeping the stories of the past alive. Hugin and Munin flew every day to watch what was happening in the 9 worlds. Then, they returned to report important events to the god Odin. In Norse mythology, even the cosmic tree Yggdrasil served as a home for some of the most important beings in the universe. At the top of the tree lived the giant eagle Hreysvöllr, accountable for protecting its domains and making the winds blow with the flapping of its wings. Yggdrasil was a tree so big that its roots extend to the underworld, where the terrible Nithogr serpent lived. Nithogr slowly chewed the roots of Yggdrasil in an attempt to destroy the tree and cause the end of time. Between these two beings of opposite nature lived the agile squirrel Ratatoskr. Ratatoskr covered the whole giant trunk of the tree with remarkable speed, as a messenger between the eagle and the snake, often reporting the insults that the two creatures spoke to each other. Horses have always been pivotal in the history of mankind, and even the gods admired these noble animals. Skinfaxi and Hrimfaxi were the horses that pulled the carriages accountable for the day and the night. Skinfaxi was mounted by Dagr, who was an embodiment of the dawn and brought the sun with him. Nott rode Hrimfaxi, who represented dusk and brought the moon with him. Another important horse was the famous Sleipnir. Sleipnir was the bravest and fastest of all horses and the personal mount of the god Odin. With his 8 legs, he could quickly reach any one of the 9 worlds and could even run under the sea water. Warg was the name given to the dreaded giant wolf race. In general, the wargs were evil and frightening creatures, living in dark forests and killing for the sake of pleasure. Among the most famous wargs are the 2 wolves that chased the sun and the moon. Skoll chased the sun during the day, while his brother Hati chased the moon at night. The most powerful warg was the giant Fenrir, who according to Ragnarok's prophecy would be responsible for killing Odin and bringing the end of all things. Trolls are part of the dangers of the forests and caves of Midgard. Trolls can vary in shape and size, with some reaching 3 meters in height, while others barely measuring 1 meter. Generally speaking, trolls were unintelligent and violent creatures. They smelled awful and devoured their victims while they were still alive. The smaller ones lived in underground burrows and attacked the hen houses and plantations, upsetting humans. In some versions of the Beowulf legend, the monster known as Grendel is portrayed as a troll. Another danger in the Scandinavian forests came in the form of a beautiful and seductive woman. They were known as Huldras, a kind of forest spirit. The Huldras appeared in the fog, wearing long dresses and always with friendly and graceful behavior, but their true shape was hidden behind the dresses. They had a fox or cow tail and an odd opening in their back from where the wooden twigs came out. The Huldras seduced men by luring them into the forest, and if the man failed to please them, he would be killed and devoured. Even when a man survived such an encounter, he would be bewitched by the Huldra and returned to the forest. That eventually ended up killing him. But the danger wasn't just in the forest and caves. The Fossegrim could be found living on the banks of lagoons or waterfalls, where they appeared playing beautiful melodies on harps or violins. The music of the Fossegrim was so harmonious that it could be understood by all living beings, including trees, flowers, and birds. The Fossegrim could even help some people and teach them how to play musical instruments. But in some cases, a Fossegrim could use his abilities for evil and make use of his musical gifts, attracting men and women to drown in the deep waters. Ghosts were much feared in Norse ancient times, and there was a good reason for that. The Draugrs are spirits of ancient warriors who wandered amid tombs or places where great battles have fought. They are vengeful spirits because they lived dishonestly or died ingloriously, were unable to enter the Valhalla, getting trapped in their old bodies. Unlike other kinds of zombies, the Draugrs still kept a certain awareness of their existence. To redeem themselves from their mistakes in life, they seek to protect the treasures buried with the noblest warriors. The Draugrs can't get very far from where they first fell dead, having no choice but to protect their territory. Another type of undead were the Draugrs of the sea. These were warriors who lost their lives, drowned in shipwrecks, and attempted to return to the mainland, as they did not realize they were already dead. In the ocean that surrounds the Yggdrasil tree and the 9 worlds lives the greatest of all monsters, the gigantic serpent Jormungandr. Jormungandr is the daughter of Loki, and she was destined to fight against the gods amid the Ragnarok. Jormungandr stirred the sea waters, creating huge waves, sinking boats, and shattering coastal villages. The serpent never stopped growing, even encompassing the entire world. Both on land and at sea, Norse mythology is filled with monsters and beings that challenge human understanding. Thanks to this, they still arouse fascination and curiosity nowadays.